This is the Milo Sweet Podcast, where you'll learn to get unstuck. Start now. Conquer life's challenges by learning to do difficult. Find quick and clever ways to overcome. Wait, did you think life was going to be easy? Remember, all of your excuses are now dead to me. Let's get started. Guess what time it is? It's time for you to hit the subscribe button and find just 1% that you think will benefit from this. But if you're feeling a little like generous, right? Or you're super free with your time right now, probably doing nothing because you're listening to this. Well, maybe if you're doing something, actually just make yourself free right now. Hit subscribe. What are you waiting for? Hit it. Come on. Hit subscribe.
Yeah, definitely is. I think that rejection I think we have to change the story behind how we see things. Something that was super powerful for me was for me to think a little bit as you were talking, was thinking, what tools as a parent could I have been given as a child, or what tools can I give my child that would help them to see shame differently? Because I dealt with this much, like in my marriage, when I like preliminary stages, and I feel like it's an evolving conversation. So I think it should always be open for conversation. But I dealt with that a lot, because you're right, to be intimate, to have conversations, there is conflict. The hardest part when you're beginning your marriage, or just in marriage in general, is that you actually don't have the tools to label things. Yeah. So you actually might be feeling shame and not know that it's shame, and you don't even know how to identify resentment, because those are tools that really parents should give kids, to say, hey, it looks like you feel like your sister is manipulating you. That's what that is. Or is that manipulation, or you feel like your sister didn't tell you, let you say what you think, or she did it in a sly way. It's like giving kids tools to label how they feel, how someone is responding, because as adults, without those tools, you actually will just think everything's fine.
Yeah, you're right.
You won't even know that. So tell me about TEDTalk. What was that like? And let's explore this lighthouse analogy.
Okay, yeah. The TEDTalk itself, to be honest with you, delivering that, I had rehearsed that talk probably, and I honestly had settled on that. It was a nightmare to give it. I'll just say it that way. It was a nightmare. Because, you're probably only going to do one of these in your whole lifetime, and you want it to be really good. And so I had written 4 completely different speeches. I had an idea that they liked, that they wanted me to give. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this isn't what I want to be known for. And I'm not even sure I can stretch it into 8 minutes and talk about it. That way, in a talk, and I'm not even sure I want to be known for that. So I kind of thought and I did some, 3 versions of a talk, or 3 versions of different talks, and then settled on the one I ended up giving. And it really occurred about a week, maybe 10 days before I actually gave the talk. And I thought to myself, what are the patterns that I see and in my office? And that's basically what the talk was. It's, what makes love last. And what I talk about in there, a little bit of my own story. My wife is the hero of the talk. It's not me. And, she's true. If I'm going to talk about marriage, I'm not going to be the hero. I'm not going to be up on a TED Talk like, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. It's like, no, my wife is awesome. She's amazing. And I'm very, very, very fortunate to have her. And because honestly, there wouldn't be anything I'm doing today if it wasn't for her. And it's not just because of, the early days of my practice. It's the support that she helps me with, because she does a lot of stuff I just don't have the ability to do. I'm not who she is. But
go Morgan.
Yeah,
sorry, I had to do that.
And she's great. She's fantastic. And what's funny is our podcast audience probably likes her every bit as much as they like me. And they may listen to hear what I have to say, but she's with me. She'll kind of moderate it and guide discussions, but she's she's fantastic, and people love her just as much as they love me, which is a great great asset. But the lighthouse analogy. So basically, the idea in the TED Talk was what makes love last. And I talk about the couples who have a love that lasts. They have a lot of problems. They have the kind of problems that we all have. They have sometimes difficulties with in-laws. They have children that, maybe struggle in school. They have children when they're young that keep them awake at night. They have miscarriages. They have job loss. They travel for work. Sometimes they have good things happen to them. They get a job promotion. They can have good things that happen to them. But what happens is that they experience these transitions or changes. And I didn't get into all this in the TED Talk, but what can happen is when we go through these transitions and changes, it causes us to need our spouse in a new way we haven't needed them before. And it causes them to need us in a new way that they haven't needed us before, and it requires us to give something we haven't given before. But the couples that have a love that lasts over time, it's not that they were problem-free and lived on a beach somewhere. It's because they operated as a lighthouse and as a harbor for each other. And as a lighthouse, there's this understanding that at the bottom of the ocean, out in the sea, lurks monsters. And there's, waves, and there's fog, and there are hurricanes, and there's pirates. And so they know, what? I need to be a lighthouse for my spouse, my partner. I need to shine my light bright for them and let them know I'm here for you. You can, when you're ready to come in, I'm going to have dry clothes, warm blankets, hot cocoa for you, and you can tell me about your latest adventure. And when people feel like they can go to their spouse and their spouse is going to be available to them, sensitive and supportive, that strengthens our bond with our spouse and our partner. But when people feel like their spouse is going to disapprove of them or be critical or rejecting of them, they're going to stay out at sea, because the lighthouse then becomes more dangerous than going into the lighthouse. The storm at the sea may actually be better. I'll take my odds with that than going to the lighthouse.
Right.
So I know how the lighthouse is going to go. But that lighthouse also serves another function. It serves a function as a harbor where I'm going to help my mate with their goals in life. I'm going to help my mate explore. I'm going to help my mate grow as a person. And so that's where we kind of are a cheerleader. We're being emotionally supportive by being a cheerleader and an encourager. And we only begin to interfere when they're indicating that they need help. And we let them be independent. We let them be autonomous. And we don't really interfere or give too much advice or, tell them what they're doing wrong and things like that. But we're a cheerleader. We're an encourager. And we communicate acceptance that way. And if we can do that over a lifetime of transitions and challenges where we're sensitive and we're listening and we're supportive and we're available, we're going to create the benefit of the doubt. Because when we do that, they're going to feel that we really value them and that they can get their needs met with us. I can always go to my lighthouse and they're going to be there for me. I can always return and they're going to have a warm blanket and hot cocoa for me. And then, of course, in my talk, I talk about probably one of the worst depressions of my life, starting my private practice, and just how my wife helped me with that. And what I didn't hear either that helped me. I didn't hear the criticism, and I didn't hear the complaining, and I didn't hear, all these things. But with couples, if we can be a lighthouse that they can come to, and we're shining our light for them, and we're caring for them, and a harbor that they can launch from and feel encouraged by and supported by, then we're going to have a love that lasts. And the benefit of the doubt that really, because you mentioned contempt earlier, and contempt really is an absence of benefit of the doubt. What I'll see in my office, like basically when people come into my office, what happens is they will have, if you get around people and they're divorced, and you hear them talk about their ex. They're like, my ex is so blah, blah, blah. They're such an evil human being. And they're, they'll use all these names.
Mm-hmm.
When that's how people think about their spouse when they go to marriage counseling. Like they're more open about it. And maybe they've had a little bit more bad experiences with them since they've been divorced because of child custody and things like that. But just tone that back maybe 50%, maybe not even that much, but that's how they think about their spouse when they're going into marriage counseling. And my job is to help people not even to change that around and to turn that around. And that's an incredible task. That's a hard task. And obviously marriage counseling helps people. It works, but people are starting in a difficult spot, and they're starting at those places where my spouse is a narcissist. I give and give and give, and they don't give anything. I'm not going to give until I start seeing something. You're dealing with massive wounds, massive trauma. You're dealing with people sometimes dealing with symptoms of PTSD, which is pretty normal with infidelity. You're dealing with people who've only given and one partner's only taken. And now the other partner's saying, I'm not going to give anymore and I want you to give. So you're expecting somebody who has the skills of a caveman to turn around in 2 weeks' time. And, all of a sudden become like a Casanova and this super emotionally intelligent person. And it's, things happen, people grow, but they really have negative thoughts about each other when they start. But when we're a lighthouse and we're a harbor, we have that benefit of the doubt. And we can, look at our spouse and see them for who they really are, not some negative person that, has wounded us and hurt us and, selfish, that kind of thing.
That's a beautiful analogy. I really like that. That really actually, it almost brought a tear to my eye just hearing you talk about it like that. Because that is a situation I find me and my husband are always in. One of us is growing and adapting, and the other one is helping. Then you switch. And it's a constant, if you want to grow as a couple, it's a constant scenario of change. And there are ways you have to adapt to meet those new needs. So you have to, it's trial and error, to be honest. I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe but I find that we have a lot of trial and error over here and reflection. And then you're like, okay, wait, I think we got it. So.
All right, that's another episode in the books. Hello? I said it's over. Why are you still listening? Like, seriously, the episode is over. If you're still listening right now, you know what? You're probably a chronic procrastinator. Guess what? I'm still listening to. Come on, for real, seriously. We gotta go do something productive. No, like for real. No, for real. Okay, you can keep listening.